You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
On the line now, we've got Chris Izor. Is that right? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Izor, actually.
Izor. All right. I appreciate you bearing with me. And yeah, so we've got him on the line. He's the co-chair of the Birmingham DSA. Is that right?
No, I'm actually rank and file of Birmingham DSA, but have been part of this small group of us that have been working with getting the RWDSU supported from Birmingham DSA.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you being interested, wanting to wanting to help these workers. I think that's really important, that these folks see that there are people out in the community that support their effort. They've got every day they're going into Amazon and their work. They've got 500 contract workers now that are just being used like anti-union billboards. That's something that Louise put out that wasn't known before. Their bosses, their managers, supervisors, folks like that are telling them that that a union isn't going to be good for them. And so it's really good that we've got folks like you in the community that are telling them that, no, actually, Amazon is just wrong. This is going to be really great for you.
Yeah. I mean, as we know, Alabama doesn't necessarily have a great, or doesn't necessarily have a really strong, labor movement at the time. What we do have, we want to support, but also, in my own experience and an experience of, other folks in Birmingham DSA, and then everyone, that we know, it's not easy to be a worker in Alabama. And so the more that we can support that, especially in, the work in Amazon that, we know to be a difficult place to work. The working conditions are, they're not great working conditions, as far as like limited breaks, using metrics to track, workers' times, all of that. So we just want to support the workers as they're unionizing, and especially as they've been, garnering national attention. And so that's been really cool. And anything that we can do to support that from DSA's perspective is going to be top of our list.
Yeah, and that's something that if you're on Twitter a lot of the criticisms of DSA is that it's too focused on national politics, it's too focused on electoral politics. But if you actually look at the things that DSA is doing, that's really not a great criticism, of what's actually happening, I don't think.
Yeah, I also unfortunately am on Twitter a lot, and I see a lot of that too, and like if I think that there's maybe some valid critiques about some of that, but as gets consistently said, DSA is the largest socialist organization in the country. It is a diverse organization, from various people's perspectives, but everything that I've seen. And the reason that, I've wanted to get involved and stay involved, and I've been sort of in and out of the Birmingham DSA group for a while, just during the last, tumultuous last several years, is that there's, outstanding work being done to support workers of all stripes, whether that's teachers, whether it's the folks at, the Hunts Point when they were striking, whether it's just, direct service, mutual aid work in the community, whether it's supporting tenants who, are increasingly facing, the significant threat of eviction during the pandemic and the economic crisis. And there's many ways, there's many, tactics and strategies for going about that. But I think that's, DSA is, uniquely positioned given its size and, the number of local organizations that are, part of this large organization, to do great work in small communities and be responsive to local needs, both of workers and just, community members.
Right. So what have y'all been doing to support, for the folks that aren't aware, I've said that, y'all have been supportive of this campaign. What actually has the Birmingham DSA done?
I think importantly, we didn't want to take this opportunity and, make it about DSA recruitment or anything like that. We wanted to basically just support the workers at Amazon, and we wanted to, show our support for the union that was helping organize them, the RWDSU. And so, we went to them as early as we could, after news was, growing that there was a unionization effort, and said, whatever it is that you need us to do, whatever it is that we can do, we're here to do it. And, for a while, the conversation said, we'll get back to you, we're working with one-on-one conversations, we're working with outreach within the union, they're collecting cards and all that stuff. And so we said, that's great. Whatever it is, whenever it is, we'll be there. And so, as time went on, we started to come up with some more ideas about messaging, and doing what we can to just show community support. And so we've done a lot of social media promotion, and we've done some, physical messaging and support of the union in the Bessemer neighborhood. And then just whatever we can do to facilitate, other DSA interest in this fight, because this is, a national fight, even if it's local to Bessemer and local to Alabama, it still has national implication, really international implications. And so, a lot of times we'll get contacted by other DSA, groups. And so once word got out, we put it out, we tried to fundraise some more, durable messaging in the neighborhood and all that stuff. And then when the rally came out, the more that we could promote that, the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And something that the lead organizer on this campaign, Joshua Brewer, something he was really impressed with, that he mentioned specifically about DSA. I think similar things can be said of actually a lot of the community groups that have come out to support in this campaign. But he said past campaigns with other community groups, one of the thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but just kind of a fact of the way that they operate. He said that with community groups, there is, there's kind of this expectation of a give and a take, that the union is gonna at some point do something for the community group, or it's somehow going to benefit the community group directly. And he said that there's never been any of that with the Birmingham DSA. He said that y'all have been there from the beginning. How can we help? And exactly like you said, not about how can we get into your trainings to say that you should join Birmingham DSA, not about how can we, how can we make this benefit us? How can we help you? And I think that really, I was just so appreciative of that really spoke to me a lot. And that's why I wanted to have y'all on to talk about that, because I think that's so important. And he said that a lot of times unions get that kind of solidarity. They'll give help without any strings attached. But he was really impressed with the kind of selflessness that with which y'all gave your services.
Yeah, it's about their liberation and our liberation are tied together, because we're all workers. And, the more that we can just be there to support, their victory is our victory. And so, we look forward to being there for, the RWDSU and the Amazon union organizers, but also just other unions in the state, and in the Birmingham area. The more that we can, just be a support, all the better. And, we can acknowledge that, not everyone necessarily not every union member necessarily identifies as a socialist or a democratic socialist or what have you. But the more that, we can demonstrate that, we're there to support, workers, when those workers, ask for support, when they need support, all the better. And it's good for us because it's good for workers.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. That's, I think that's like socialism kind of,
yeah,
helping workers because it's good for workers. What was it? You're from Alabama, presumably?
Yeah, I was born in the Tampa area, but I've spent most of my life in Alabama. Outside of Birmingham, I went to college at the University of Alabama and studied who knows what. It doesn't really matter. And then moved to Birmingham after that, and have had a sort of an odd assortment of different jobs since then. But yeah, so, I would say, I'm basically born and bred in Alabama as far as it counts.
What was it that made you a socialist? That's not, obviously like you said, that's not even the norm among union members, much less kind of the general public. How did you kind of come to to be a member of DSA and to, to have this political ideology in such a not socialist state?
Well, I think, the earliest thing that I can remember that, was maybe different than the norm was the Iraq War, honestly. I was in high school or when the Iraq War was really kicking off, and it felt wrong. It didn't make sense. But at that time I was also, increasingly a student of history. And, the longer that you're a student of history, in my perspective, the more you begin to see that, you begin to see the material perspective. You begin to see that, power and resources and all of that, are they're part of how capitalism, maintains itself. But a lot of times, I think especially younger folks around the time that I was younger, didn't necessarily have the vocabulary to really put that together. And certainly it's not, taught in schools. A lot of times it's something that you read, some off chance of like some Noam Chomsky or something like that. Or, for me, really, it was the Occupy movement that sort of began to speak in terms, of like acknowledging the playing field in a way that really had not been mainstreamed by that point. The idea that there is a 99% of us that are working and maintaining the world, and there's a 1% that gets rich off of that. And so you can sort of draw a through line from there to the Bernie Sanders campaign, which I think was a big inciting incident for a lot of people to take a different look than just what was out there. And, DSA as a national organization grew considerably during the Bernie Sanders campaign and in the subsequent years. And so for me, that was, those are personal reflections, but I think the Bernie Sanders campaign in particular was an opportunity for those personal reflections or personal feelings of like, this doesn't necessarily, fit or make sense, to become more of like some collective action or mass action. And obviously like that's an electoral campaign. So, you can, there may be critiques for that. But it certainly was something that really incited a lot of people to take a stronger look at something like democratic socialism. And so since then, that's definitely been something that's worth working on, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as the rest of us, and, locally in DSA and then nationally, as you can see, there'll probably be 100,000, DSA members by the time that the convention happens soon.
That's really impressive. And, I think that, a lot of folks my age, and I think you're kind of roughly my age as well, kind of trace our political awakening, so to speak, to the 2016 Bernie Sanders campaign or thereabouts. That's certainly where I trace mine to. Even if I, like you said, there are certainly critiques to be made of that and to be made of electoral politics generally. But I think that was really instrumental for a lot of folks. So, as we're wrapping up here with talking to you from Birmingham DSA, where can people, I know that this wasn't, you didn't do this to have folks join, but if folks are interested, if anybody from this drive wants to know more, or perhaps wants to be a member of Birmingham DSA, where should they go to learn more, to join, stuff like that?
The best place is going to be to get connected with our social media accounts at this time. So if you're on Twitter, like us, unfortunately, BHAM DSA, you can find us on Facebook as well. And then we have a general meeting on the first Sunday of each month. And so that's a Zoom meeting. People are welcome if they're interested to join up with that meeting. But you can also email us directly at BHAM, DSA @gmail.com. And I have one more thing to plug about the Amazon organizing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So, something that we, as we've said, we want to take our cues from the RWDSU and the Bamazon Union, organizers to, before we go out and do anything on our own. But there's been a lot of interest in the wake of the rally on Saturday in doing some community canvassing and all of that. And so we have there is basically an organizing call with the union, the RWDSU, as well as just sort of driven by Eric Hall, who is in charge of Our Revolution, the Birmingham chapter. That's going to be Friday at 12:30 in the afternoon. And the idea is that anyone who's interested in this kind of canvassing of workers and of community members in, the Bessemer area or in the area where the Amazon workers are, the more that you want to get involved, this is going to be a good opportunity to see, what the organizers and what the union, are going to have, for us to do. So anyone who wants information on that, can also just get in touch with us via email. That's BHAMDSA@gmail.com. We can get some more information about that and get you on that call.
Okay, awesome. Eric Hall, he's actually a member of my union. I don't know if you know that. We're both in AFGE. So
oh, great.
Yeah.
Eric's great and has been a good friend to Birmingham DSA for the last few years.
Good. And you said he's the president of Our Revolution in Birmingham?
I believe he's the president of the Our Revolution chapter and was at least one of the co-founders as well. But I believe he's running Our Revolution.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our conversation with Birmingham DSA. Like he said, you can find them at BHAM DSA on Twitter, or you can send them an email at bhamdsa@gmail.com. Thank you so much for talking to us. I appreciate it.
All right. Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye.